This video is to give us an introduction on how to convert between fractions, decimals, and percents. So if we're trying to go from a decimal to a percent, what we want to do is move the decimal point 2 places to the right and add a percent sign. So if we look at this, the 0.754 or 754 thousandths, what we would do is take that decimal point and bump it 2 spaces to the right. So we would have 75.4%. That works because percent means per 100, right? That cent means 100. It's why there's 100 cents in a dollar and 100 years in a century. So if you don't like that shortcut of bumping it 2 places to the right, what you can do is think of taking that decimal number and multiplying it by 100% to convert it into a percent. And if you do that, you'll still get your 75.4% or 75.4%. If we're trying to reverse this process, to go from a percent to a decimal, we need to do the opposite. So if we're using our shortcut of just moving the decimal point, we're going to move it 2 places to the left. If we do that, we'll end up with 0.2134. And you do not need it, but I usually put a 0 in front of that decimal point because my handwriting's not always the best. And that reminds me that there is actually a decimal point there. So it's 2,134 10,000ths. It's after that decimal point. Now likewise, if you don't like that shortcut, if it doesn't make sense, instead of using multiplication, we can use division. If we're trying to get rid of that percent sign, we would get rid of it by dividing by 100%. That way those percent signs totally cancel out, and when you divide by 100, you end up with that same final answer. Now, every once in a while, I have students that really like the shortcut of bumping the decimal point, but they get confused as to which way it goes. So what I always tell students is think about alphabetical order. If you start with a decimal and want to go to a percent, B comes before P. So you're moving to the right, and it's always 2 spaces. If we stick with that alphabetical order, right, B comes before P, but we want to go from a percent to a decimal, we're going 2 spaces to the left. So that's all well and good if we start out with a decimal. But what happens if we start out with a fraction? If that's the case, the method that will work every single time is to make the fraction into a decimal first. And remember, a fraction bar always means division. So we do that by dividing the numerator by the denominator. Then we have a decimal, so we follow the same examples we did before. So if we want to write the fraction 7/8 as a percent, following those steps, the first thing I'm going to do is my numerator, 7, divided by my denominator, 8. When I plug that into my calculator, I get 0.875. So that's my fraction in decimal form. And we just saw that if we want to go from a decimal to a percent, we need to bump that decimal point 2 spaces to the right. So I go 1, 2, and that gives me 87.5%.